This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Campaign stop. Liberal leader Mark Carney visits Halifax with a promise to accelerate defence spending.
Fix the facade. Halifax wine bar owners speak out about scaffolding that's been up for years.
And Bye Bye Bay. Liquidation gets underway at the iconic Canadian department store.
A nice Wednesday, but increasing clouds as our next system approaches, bringing rain, mixing to snow into Thursday. Your full forecast is coming up.
On day 3 of the federal election campaign, Mark Carney is the first federal leader to visit the province. The Liberal leader spent most of the day in Halifax with a stop at the Irving shipyard, where they're building the next generation of Canadian warships.
As the CBC's Ashley Burke tells us, Carney promised to accelerate defence spending, which includes new submarines and more heavy icebreakers. But he says the trade war with the U.S. and shared military bonds must play a role in procurement choices.
I'm with the Liberal campaign.
Sean Fraser is cancelling his plans to retire from politics and will seek re-election in his Nova Scotia riding of Central Nova. His decision comes at the request of new party leader Mark Carney.
I received a phone call yesterday from the Prime Minister who'd asked me, given the economic threat that we're facing in the United States, to step up and serve my community and my country once more. That was certainly a powerful ask, but what really tipped the balance for me was we probably spent close to half an hour on the phone discussing the assurances that we could create a family-friendly environment that would allow me to serve my community without compromising my ability to be a present husband and father.
Fraser announced in December he wouldn't run again because of the strain his job placed on his family life. Fraser was first elected to Parliament in 2015 and under Justin Trudeau served as Immigration Minister and then Housing Minister.
All right, apologize for our technical difficulties off the top of the show there. Let's get back to our top story now. Liberal leader Mark Carney's visit to Halifax today. Here's the CBC's Ashley Burke.
I'm with the Liberal campaign in Halifax, where Mark Carney visited Irving Shipyard. This is the company that earlier this month the government quietly awarded an $8 billion contract to build Canada's new destroyer warships. Carney announced today he'll be focused on making sure that Canadian shipyards like this one use as much Canadian steel and aluminum as possible. His promise comes as he faces growing calls from Canadians to end U.S. contracts because of Donald Trump's trade war and threats to Canada's sovereignty. But when I asked Carney today if he would review the U.S.-made combat system on these new warships, he wouldn't commit to that.
There is a high degree of interoperability, as you know, between Canada and the U.S. Our forces, it's been built up over decades, and that extends to the material and our weapon systems. We are increasingly deliberate about the costs and benefits, or the risks and benefits of that interoperability. The United States is still a strong ally. It is still a member of NATO, and we see advantages. But actually, in all aspects of our procurement, we will be thinking about how to secure Canadians and how to have the maximum benefit for Canadians, because that is what will make Canada strong.
That comment that the U.S. is still a strong ally is different from his repeated message on the campaign trail that Trump wants to weaken and own Canada, testing relations like never before. Carney is trying to pitch himself as the best option to protect Canada and said he's already asked his defense minister to review a major contract with the U.S. for F-35 fighter jets to see if there are other options. Carney also announced today that he wants to build up the military's use of drones in the sky and underwater to defend the Arctic and Canada's borders, with a focus on using Canadian companies, and he pledged to give military members a raise to address a major staffing shortage. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Halifax.
In provincial politics, the end of the winter session of the Nova Scotia Legislature is within sight after multiple pieces of government legislation have cleared third reading at Province House. Government bills focused on interprovincial trade and university governance have both passed, as did Bill 1, controversial omnibus legislation that originally included the ability for the government to fire the Auditor General without cause and suppress her reports. Although that provision was removed, opposition members remained critical of the portion of Bill 1 that allows for non-unionized civil servants to be fired without cause. Also passing a bill that would lift a ban on uranium mining and fracking in the province.
Education Minister Brendan Maguire says his department will instruct the South Shore Regional Centre for Education not to limit the type of flags it flies outside schools. On Monday, the region announced it would only permit Canadian and Nova Scotian flags to fly outside its schools. A spokesperson for the region said concerns about the condition of some flags prompted the decision. They said Mi'kmaq, African Nova Scotian, and Pride flags would instead be prominently displayed inside schools. But Maguire says that isn't good enough, and he'll be making it clear to all regions around the province.
3 people were injured in a shooting in Dartmouth Monday night. Halifax police were called to an address on Rubin Court around 11:30, where there had been reports of weapons and injured people. Officers found a man and 2 women who had been shot. All 3 victims were transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they don't believe the shooting was a random act. Their investigation is at an early stage, and they're asking for any witnesses to the incident to come forward with information or video.
A downtown Halifax wine bar that has been operating with scaffolding around its business since the summer of 2023 is asking the city to intervene. Obladi says in spite of orders, the building owner has not made any progress to fix up the facade. And as Gareth Hampshire tells us, the business says it might not be able to keep going as a result.
This scaffolding structure that's been wrapped around Obladi Wine Bar for more than a year and a half is blocking the view to the business.
It's an eyesore, and people can't tell that we're open.
It was put there in July 2023 when the property owner was ordered by the municipality to fix the building facade. There are cracks in the surface and caution signs about the possibility of falling debris. Obladi has continued to pay rent all this time, but says the property owner has not done any of the repair work.
Why is it taking 21 months and there's no movement? And we have 3 months now before we have to miss another patio season and probably go out of business.
They've already missed 2 patio seasons. There could be 20 seats here, but the scaffolding makes that impossible. He's made numerous requests to the property owner, but is growing more frustrated. And it doesn't look like things will be dealt with anytime soon. Developer Steve Carey, whose group of companies own the property, died in 2023. The Carey Group, which own a number of other properties downtown, are now going through insolvency proceedings in the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia. His sister, Joanne Carey, declined comment. Court documents show they're now trying to sell the building Obladi's operating in, along with others, that together have mortgage debts estimated around $47 million as of January.
So if the building owner, for whatever reason, is not cooperating or can't cooperate, then the city has to step in and do what the building owner won't.
The Halifax Regional Municipality provided a statement to CBC News, explaining it ordered the scaffolding after a piece of debris injured a passerby in June 2023. It says it remains in contact with the property owner and issued another order last month requesting an update. However, the municipality is directing questions on the repair timeline back to the property owner and says the scaffolding has to stay there for safety reasons. Gareth Hampshire, CBC News, Halifax.
All right, let's talk weather now. Here's Ryan Snoddon.
So we had a bit of wild weather and then a bit of spring.
Yeah, that's right. Clear out nicely across the province on Tuesday. And we're looking at that clear out to continue into Wednesday. Things looking pretty good. We'll see some sunshine on tap. And you can see sun and cloud on the menu. Now, we will see increasing clouds throughout the morning in through western areas, central areas, and then throughout the afternoon for the east. And so no doubt the clouds building in and that chance for showers arriving into the afternoon. Yarmouth, Bridgewater, and in through the valley. And this is picking things up here on Wednesday evening. And you can see there those showers starting to march in. And this will initially start as showers, then some steadier periods of rain. And then as temperatures will drop Wednesday evening into the overnight, this is where things will start to turn snowy, but still plus side temperatures. Inland higher terrain areas starting to see that slushy accumulation Wednesday night. Into Thursday morning, temperatures right near the freezing mark. And so along the Atlantic coastline, not expecting a whole lot of accumulation, but inland over higher terrain areas, especially across the north and northeast, I am expecting that it is going to be a snowy commute to work on Thursday morning. A slushy commute where you're going to want to make sure the windshield washer fluid is topped up elsewhere. And then as we move into the afternoon time period, some lingering showers and flurries as the system slowly pulls away. And then we've got another chance for some showers and flurries on Friday as a weak system passes through. Another system late Saturday, another larger system late Sunday into Monday. There's a lot to talk about.
Keeping you hopping.
Good thing we have you to keep track of it all. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Liquidation sales kicked off this week at all but 6 of Hudson's Bay's locations as the company continues to search for a way to restructure. In Sydney, the Bay will leave a major hole at the island's largest mall if the store shuts its doors for good. CBC's Kyle Moore explains.
Shoppers flocked to Hudson's Bay in Sydney on Tuesday looking for deals. All but 6 store locations have started to sell off their inventory. The liquidation comes after the company filed for creditor protection earlier this month, admitting they were struggling financially.
I feel like the mood was kind of somber. I think people are there to remember and, kind of the end of an era.
The fate of the Sydney store is still unknown as the company continues to search for a way to restructure. Most items inside were reduced, but some were expecting better buys.
They got signs up and everything, but Jesus, it's nothing that we could get for, what? 15% off, yeah.
The Bay has been an anchor retailer at the Mayflower Mall since the mall opened in 1980.
There was a huge partnership between Mayflower Mall and the Bay. They were, great partners of ours, and this is very unfortunate and obviously something we didn't want to see happen.
The company that manages the mall says it will be hard to fill the space here with just one tenant because it is so large. The plan is, if and when the store closes, to redevelop the site to offer more retail opportunities.
There has been interest, there has been questions, and it's not something that we have been able to concretely make decisions on because we need to wait until this process with the Bay is over.
It's unclear how many jobs will be lost, but it's something some shoppers were concerned about.
Lovely staff. I feel sorry for them. I really do.
According to signs posted on the doors at the Mayflower Mall location, gift cards and return items purchased before March 25th must be done by April 6th. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
The Atlantic Doctor Registry has not substantially improved access to health care. That is according to a report by the Federation of Medical Regulatory Authorities of Canada. The registry was supposed to make it easier for doctors to work across the 4 Atlantic provinces by allowing them to practice anywhere in the region without additional licensing requirements. But the report found only 5% of eligible doctors actually joined the registry.
The problem is we're in a closed system. Right, there's only X number of physicians in the Maritimes in Atlantic Canada, and so moving them around, if you're working in Charlottetown, you decide to go to Amherst, then you're not working in Charlottetown. So it proved a point of cooperation and trust and understanding, simplifying process, reducing fees. But from a mobility point of view and extra care, probably didn't show as much as some people had hoped.
The report also found that while the registry simplified the licensing process, it did not eliminate other administrative hurdles for doctors moving to a new province. A Nova Scotia icon is set to be honored for her body of work.
Spring Hill's own Anne Murray will receive the Lifetime Achievement Award at this weekend's Junos.
The snowbird sings a song he always sings and speaks to me of flowers that will bloom again in spring. When I was
She's already the most awarded artist in Juno history, and the Lifetime Achievement Award doesn't get handed out that often. The last time was 1989, when the award went to the Juno's namesake, Pierre Juno.
The 2025 Juno Awards are this Sunday. You can watch it all on CBC television beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern or on CBC Gem.
Ah, that's a beautiful look. The days are getting longer,
They sure are, aren't they?
All right, Ryan's up next with his weather forecast. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Yeah, we saw that shot of Lower Truro as we headed to break there, and you're right. It's quite noticeable now how much more daylight there is each day.
Yeah, spring has definitely sprung, even though it's still a bit of a roller coaster,
It's still
right?
a bit of a bumpy road for sure. And yeah, we're going to pick up on that theme. We'll show the webcam right now. How long till there are folks sitting on this beach? White Point?
Why not now?
Looks pretty nice right now.
It
Throw a
does.
blanket around you? Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Really, really nice. And yeah, to your point, again, those the evenings just getting longer and longer and longer, and love to see these scenes. And again, Nova Scotia webcams with this shot for us, so thanks to them. And as we look at the high temperatures, I mean, it was a barn burner down on the South Shore this afternoon, 11 degrees, and Halifax at 11 as well. Sheet Harbor at that Malay Falls station, 11 degrees there. You can see 7, 8, 9 degrees across Cape Breton Island today. It was, really nice day in the valley this afternoon. Things kind of cleared out nicely. Temperatures currently, we're still at 3 degrees in Yarmouth. We've dropped to the freezing mark in through Cape Breton after the winds have shifted and that onshore flow has come in there across Cape Breton. So temps have dropped there, but we've cleared out nicely, as you can see here with the satellite and radar picture for western areas of the province in behind this frontal boundary, which has moved through. And a couple of showers mixed with a flurry here across New Brunswick. The possibility under this low that there's still just a little bit of instability, and we'll see the possibility of a shower or flurry, say, for the next 2-3 hours through the evening, and then we're clearing into the overnight. Watching this weak low that's going to hit the coast and develop into a stronger system that will be moving to our south and east for Wednesday night into Thursday. That's really kind of the next system we're going to be watching. And then we're watching a larger system, a couple of them, in fact, watching for the weekend. So it's a really active pattern right now. The jet stream is, rolling from west to east. We're seeing lots of systems jumping on that highway and moving from west to east across North America right now. Pretty spring-like in the west of Canada right now, and temperatures a little bit cooler down towards the Great Lakes, but still spring-like. And look at the warm air surging up here into the U.S. 35 in Phoenix, into the 30s in Texas right now. So it's definitely spring is springing all across North America. Now, as we look at the temperatures for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're going to be dropping into the freezing mark. So it is going to be, not too bad to start the morning on Wednesday. There are those shower and flurry chances through the evening, even in the overnight for Cape Breton. Wednesday, I think we're going to see more sunshine than what this model is projecting here. We will see some fog patches in the morning, then some sunshine, then increasing clouds, and then we're going to be watching that chance for showers marching into western areas into the afternoon, arriving in Halifax right around supper time. Nice day in through Cape Breton, though. Temperatures ranging between 6 and 9 degrees. Onshore winds near 4 for the Guysborough County Eastern Shore region, but inland we should crack 9 to 10 degrees, and that'll be the case in the metro area as well. 6 degrees in onshore winds, 8, 9 degrees. Possibility for a double digit here in and around the Halifax metro area. Double digit potential for Bridgewater. And again, these are the showers that are going to be marching their way in. So I know I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to show this again. Note temperatures at 11 p.m. to midnight, Wednesday night into the wee morning hours of Thursday. Temperatures still quite mild. Some snow maybe sticking inland higher terrain areas, but it's going to take until the overnight into Thursday morning rather, that we'll start to see that accumulation. Really, I think the best chances here are northern areas, especially through the Cobequid Mountains into Mount Tom, and then, of course, into Cape Breton, the higher terrain areas there. This is going to be our best chance for accumulating snow into the Thursday morning time frame. Expect a snowy, slushy drive on Thursday morning, and then we're looking at a chance for some showers and flurries lingering into Thursday afternoon. Temperatures popping into the 3 to 5 degree range. We do have another chance for a shower or flurry on Friday, isolated. A system tracking to our southwest on Saturday. Maybe some snow South Shore. Keeping an eye on that system. A larger system, Tom and Amy, Sunday evening into the overnight. Snow, ice, freezing rain potential, mixing to rain for Monday.
There's a lot going on.
It sure is.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Coming up, political comeback. After thoughts of retirement, Sean Fraser is now seeking re-election. Liberal MP and former Cabinet Minister Sean Fraser has cancelled his plans to retire from politics. He announced today he will seek re-election in this Nova Scotia riding of Central Nova. Sean Fraser is the Liberal MP for Central Nova. Mr. Fraser, the last time we spoke, you were leaving politics to spend more time with your family. Why the change of heart?
Look, until very recently, I had been very much looking forward to an opportunity to embrace my next chapter of life. I received a phone call yesterday from the Prime Minister who'd asked me, given the economic threat that we're facing in the United States, to step up and serve my community and my country once more. That was certainly a powerful ask, but what really tipped the balance for me was we probably spent close to half an hour on the phone discussing the assurances that we could create a family-friendly environment that would allow me to serve my community without compromising my ability to be a present husband and father. My kids mean everything to me, but this is a moment that requires good people to stand up for Canada, and being able to both engage in my most important job as a dad, but also serve as a member of Parliament for my community is something that I'm very much looking forward to.
This will not come as a surprise to you, I'm sure, but they're already having some fun with you online, saying that the change in the polls and the lure of winning essentially won out for you.
You know what? I think I actually said during my remarks in December that I wanted to run in the election and that I wanted to win in the election. But it was really the several years on the back end of that election that had me concerned for my ability to be home and to be present. A lot of people are going to make a lot of noise, but I know my own motivations, and it's to make sure that we build the kind of community that I want to build, that I want to raise my kids in. A community where people can put food on the table for their families. Dogs don't bark at parked cars. There's excitement going on right now. People make noise. But truth be told, it really was the changing circumstances of the opportunity to be more present, to travel less than has been demanded. Having spent somewhere in the ballpark of 140 nights last year in hotels is not a conducive lifestyle to being a parent. But I have assurances from the Prime Minister that we can change that, and we can create a better environment, frankly, so more young families can step up and serve their community and treat their experience as parents as an asset, not a liability, which is the way it should be.
Fair enough. And you've been looking at the polls, I'm sure. They must have been somewhat of a factor.
You know what? It's the electoral prospects in Central Nova for a Liberal have never been good. When I first ran for office, we were a distant third in the polls. Keep in mind that in my lifetime, there's one person before 2015 who was elected as a Liberal, and I think the one who accomplished that feat before her was born in the 1870s when Brian Mulroney needed a safe Conservative seat to run in when he became the leader. Elmer MacKay stepped aside so Brian could have a safe seat in Pictou County. If you're interested in an easy ride to the House of Commons, running as a Liberal in Pictou County ain't it. This is an opportunity to serve the community that gave me everything. It's an opportunity to demonstrate to my kids that when there are important fights to have, good people need to stand up to bullies down south or in their community. I'm very much looking forward to the fight ahead, but I come in with no assumptions that this is going to be an easy ride. This is a contest that we need to demonstrate to Canadians that we are the party to trust and that Mark Carney is a leader to trust when it comes to handling the immense threat that Donald Trump poses, not just to our national economy, but communities like mine, where a lot of people rely on trade across the border to make sure that they can actually cover the bills.
Okay. For the record, the polls do look good for you in your riding, just so our audience knows that. But there's already a Liberal nominee there, Graham Murray, in your riding. Are you going to be shoving him out? How will that go over?
Look, I've had a conversation with Graham this morning, actually, and he is a tremendous guy. He is with integrity and character engaging in this conversation. I expect that we may see him with the Prime Minister and I later today. He's a terrific guy who grew up in Pictou County, and I want to encourage him to remain engaged. My conversation with the Prime Minister was about my own candidacy, and to the extent that we can keep good people on side, I know that Graham is going to be one of them. Top tier guy, talented as they come, and character to the core.
Just before I leave this point, did Mr. Carney mention a possible cabinet position for you?
The focus of our conversation wasn't on what position I'm going to hold. It was on creating a life balance that would allow me to serve as a member of parliament in the party going forward, and hopefully in the government going forward. But the details of any position in cabinet or otherwise are the prerogative of the prime minister. I understand he's not in the business of making commitments to anybody, and that's a proper thing. This is about running to represent your community and to stand up for Canada's interests nationally. Not about the job the person's going to have in office, but the jobs that their constituents are going to have.
Okay, speaking of your last job, so many issues to talk about already. Housing, an issue in this campaign. Mr. Poilievre today said that you were not effective as a housing minister. The people are still hurting. What do you say to that? And in terms of issues, where does housing fit for you?
Look, housing is a very big deal. We made immense progress when it came to fundamentally changing the way that communities allow homes to be built in this country. We led the largest suite of housing reforms in over half a century with the plan to solve Canada's national housing crisis just last year. Talk to people in the housing space who actually build homes in the market or affordable housing for low-income families, and they welcomed the increased investment in housing, ironically, which Mr. Poilievre has opposed at every turn. He's on record saying that governments should get out of the business of housing. I disagree. Governments need to step up their investments in housing, particularly for low-income families, but to help change the rules at a local level to make it easier for young people to afford rent. He's literally going around Canada promising to cut the funding through the Housing Accelerator Fund and have communities pay back money that's already been committed to help them build more homes. So when it comes to housing, Mr. Poilievre actually has the worst record of any housing minister over the past decade. He had the opportunity to serve shortly before the 2015 election, and it was the lowest level of housing starts that this country has seen since then. So I'll take no lessons from someone whose perspective on housing is that government should cut funding for housing and hope it all works out. We need to step up our investments, build more homes at prices that people can afford, and that's one of the reasons that I have full faith that Mr. Carney is the right person for the job.
Mr. Fraser, so much we could talk about, so little time. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. Look forward to chatting again.
Coming up, foreign interference. Canada's intelligence agency alleges India meddled in the 2022 Conservative leadership race.
And security leak. Senior Trump administration officials accidentally share highly sensitive military plans in a group chat. Welcome back. An intelligence report claiming that India meddled in the 2022 Conservative leadership race was a hot topic on day 3 of the federal election campaign.
And it has raised concerns about Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's continued refusal to get his security clearance. Olivia Stefanovich has more.
There's no question Pierre Poilievre won the 2022 Conservative leadership race handily. But now new allegations have surfaced, suggesting India meddled in the contest.
Let's be honest. I won the leadership fair and square.
The allegations stem from reports that say Canada's spy watchdog learned Indian proxies raised money and organized within the South Asian community for Poilievre, though there's no evidence Poilievre and his team were aware.
I'm glad that the Liberals put this attack out today. Really glad. Because there's something that's really been worrying me.
Switching from defense to offense, Poilievre swung back, accusing Liberal leader Mark Carney of holding secret meetings with the Chinese central bank.
How is he ever going to stand up to foreign interference?
A claim Carney's team dismissed as a distraction.
I find it beyond baffling. I find it downright irresponsible.
Both Carney and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh say Poilievre would have known about the alleged meddling in his leadership campaign if he had his national security clearance.
That, to me, disqualifies you as a prime minister candidate. It's not someone that we can trust to stand up to foreign interference.
The foreign interference inquiry the Conservatives called for recommended all federal leaders seek top security clearance.
What I will not do is commit to the oath of secrecy that the Liberals want to impose on me.
I've never thought that that was a credible statement. There is no good reason for that belief.
Poilievre had national security clearance before when he served as a cabinet minister under former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. He says he won't seek it again unless he wins the next federal election. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet also weighed in on the CSIS allegations of Indian meddling in the 2022 Conservative leadership race.
The behavior of both the Liberals and the Conservatives regarding foreign intrusions is like leaving for vacations, leaving the garage door open. Anybody gets in and does whatever they want.
Blanchet called Pierre Poilievre's, quote, irresponsible for not taking steps to be briefed. Blanchet, who himself has gone through the security process, added he's, quote, never felt muzzled in his whole life.
On the election campaign trail today, Pierre Poilievre said he would remove the GST from homes sold for less than $1.3 million. The Conservative leader said the move is needed to enable middle-class Canadians to live in expensive markets like Vancouver and Toronto. He said the measure would lead to more housing starts, which would help offset the lost tax revenue. Poilievre accused former Housing Minister Sean Fraser of creating a housing crisis and attacked Fraser's decision to run for re-election in his Nova Scotia riding.
Mr. Fraser was the one that brought the Century Initiative into immigration policy, a policy designed to increase our population to 100 million. With this massive uncontrolled population growth, he helped contribute to creating this crisis in the first place, and now Mark Carney and the Liberals say that he should be back.
In October, Poilievre said that as Prime Minister, he would cut the federal sales tax on new homes sold for less than $1 million. Last week, Liberal leader Mark Carney introduced a similar GST cut for first-time home buyers on homes sold for less than $1 million. Poilievre accused Carney of stealing the idea.
Among the party pledges factoring big on the campaign trail, affordable housing. It's what NDP leader Jagmeet Singh honed in on as he campaigned in the GTA amid trailing poll numbers. The CBC's Marina von Stackelberg was at his media event at a bookstore.
For the first time in this campaign, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh talked about the challenges that his party is up against. The New Democrats continue to drop in the polls and are at risk of potentially losing many of their seats.
Let's be clear, there's massive challenges. I've got no illusions about that. There are some serious challenges that we're up against. And working people are up against massive challenges.
We're here in downtown Toronto, one of the most expensive places to rent an apartment in, if you're lucky enough to find a place. So far, Jagmeet Singh's entire campaign has been about the housing crisis. He made no new policy announcements today, but instead he met with someone who lives in the area. She rents an apartment with her son, and she says it was purchased by Brookfield Investments. And when that happened, the rent doubled. Why is Brookfield significant? Well, it is the multi-billion-dollar company that Liberal leader Mark Carney used to be the chair of.
So people who have moved in the last handful of months since Brookfield took over, some of them are paying almost double what I pay for the same space. And it's not fair. It's not fair generally. It's not fair on them. It's not fair when everybody is struggling. And it's not fair because this neighborhood is so important and life-changing, and people should be able to afford to live here. It's really important.
The NDP will spend the rest of today talking with Labour leaders. They already have the support of several unions, including the Steelworkers, CUPE, and today they'll get the Transit Union. But the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre have got the support of several construction unions. The battle for the Labour vote will continue tonight when both Pierre Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh head to Hamilton. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Toronto.
American intelligence officials are attending congressional hearings this week to answer questions about threats facing the United States. Today's hearing came a day after a magazine reported that top national security officials had accidentally included it on a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. Democrats have slammed the Trump administration over the incident, but American intelligence officials have denied there was any classified information in the chat. The CBC's Richard Madden reports from Washington.
There was no classified information, as I understand it.
President Donald Trump dismissing the perceived security breach and attacking the journalist who exposed it.
The guy's a total sleazebag.
Trump responding as his top intelligence officials faced a grilling before lawmakers for using a third-party messaging app to discuss their secret war plans for Yemen and mistakenly including the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine to their group chat, where the Vice President, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Defense reportedly texted details about weapons, targets, and timing of airstrikes against Houthi rebels.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirmed the group text was authentic, but tried to downplay the fiasco when pressed.
My communications, to be clear, in a signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well, we will make that determination, because if it's not classified, share the text with the committee.
But the reporter who was on that group chat says that's not true, adding the defense secretary texted specific details of his war plans before launching the airstrikes. He chose not to publish it for national security reasons, but now says he'll post an updated story soon.
He was texting attack plans, when targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets.
Now Democrats call it sloppy, incompetent, and accuse Republicans of hypocrisy, a party that sounded the alarms of a massive security breach when former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton once used a private email server. Richard Madden, CBC News, Washington.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has announced he will now be joining his wife and Donald Trump's national security advisor for an upcoming visit to Greenland. Their plans have raised howls of protest in the autonomous Danish territory and raised concerns similar to those expressed by Canadians in recent months. Paul Hunter explains.
Among the most remote places on Earth, in Greenland, that giant, mostly frozen island and neighbor to Canada's north, they now wonder ever more, what is Donald Trump truly up to?
They're calling us, we're not calling them. And we were invited over there.
Just a friendly visit, says the U.S. president, about a top-level trip to Greenland this week by senior U.S. officials. The whole thing has Greenland on edge, with Trump regularly suggesting he wants to annex all of it, and Greenland's outgoing prime minister slamming the U.S. visit as a highly aggressive provocation. Says Trump,
and I think Greenland's going to be something that maybe is in our future. I think it's important. It's important from the standpoint of international security.
Trump has often cited security as driving his interest, with Greenland buffering Russia, likely too its presumed underground mineral wealth. But Trump's suggestions have sparked anti-U.S. demonstrations and a singular, blunt message: Greenland is not for sale. Sound familiar? As countless Canadians push back against Trump's suggestion it become the 51st state, Greenlanders, long aware of Trump's interest in them, are now confronted by this visit and that fraught question. Does this mean Trump's serious about Greenland? Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
From bumper stickers to boycotting Tesla vehicles, the anti-Elon Musk movement has become the official clarion call for protest against the Trump administration. But now the grassroots movement has spilled over to Canada, and it's raising questions about what impact it could have on our country's federal election. The CBC's Katie Nicholson reports. Apologies for the lack of audio on that item. Well, 3 heli skiers have died after an avalanche swept them away in southeastern BC. Police say the avalanche happened around the village of Caslow near Kootenay Lake on Tuesday afternoon. They say 2 groups of skiers had just finished skiing and were waiting in the staging area when a helicopter pilot noticed the avalanche and sounded the siren. One group was able to get out of the way in time, but the other group of 4 was swept into a tree line. A 44-year-old Whistler man, a 45-year-old Idaho man, and their 53-year-old guide from Caslow were all found dead. Mounties say a 4th skier, a 40-year-old man, was critically injured. The BC Coroner Service is now investigating.
While blueberry growers on Prince Edward Island are facing a vote that could impact pricing in the industry, the Growers Association is looking at creating a commodity marketing board. The board would be able to negotiate a base price with processors, one of which is in Nova Scotia. A similar vote failed 4 years ago, but growers say in the wake of low prices and the threat of U.S. tariffs, something needs to change. Nancy Russell explains.
PEI wild blueberry growers are voting again on creating a commodity marketing board. It would develop a marketing and development plan for the industry and negotiate a base price with processors. A similar motion failed 4 years ago. The association's executive is urging members to accept the idea this time around after several years of prices below the cost of production.
We've heard enough growers concerns over the low prices they've received this past 2 years.
I think some farmers are really starting to lose interest in the industry, or getting pretty discouraged, and some even depressed about what's going on. So I think there's some changes have to be made.
The wild blueberry growers point to other crops where farmers know the kind of price they can expect.
Depending on the season, you might not know what the price you're receiving for the berries is until 2 or 3 months after you've harvested.
It's tough. It's like you're saying, okay, am I going to make any money? Am I going to lose some money? Or why am I even doing this right now?
There are 2 main buyers for wild blueberries in the Maritimes, Wyman's on PEI and Oxford Frozen Foods in Nova Scotia. Neighbours says the price for wild blueberries was up slightly last year as processors sold berries that had been in inventory since COVID. But now there is also the threat of U.S. tariffs. Neighbours says 50% of Canadian berries are sold to the United States.
But there's no way they can produce any more than they currently are. It'll take them years to replace that 50%.
58% of PEI wild blueberry growers voted against the motion 4 years ago. Some have said they don't want to pay the fee for it, which would be mandatory if the marketing board is created. But the Growers Association is optimistic that this time the plebiscite will be successful.
I think it's become quite obvious that the processors need our berries.
The results of the vote are expected in late July. Nancy Russell, CBC News, Brudenell.
Canada's main stock index rose slightly today, helped by gains in base metal stocks, while U.S. markets also moved higher. Here's a look at the numbers as we head to break.
Hi, I'm Steve Sutherland in Sydney. If you want to know what's happening on Cape Breton Island and what's important to the people who live here, join me on Information Morning Cape Breton every weekday morning from 6 to 8:37 on CBC Radio 1.
All right, so we've been threading the needle, so to speak, between weather systems here in Nova Scotia, but we've had a mix of nice weather as well.
Well, yeah, and as you said earlier, like things will blow by.
That's right.
If you don't like it, it'll change.
Wait 5 minutes,
Yeah.
right? That's the old saying. So yes, and we are creeping up in terms of our average temperatures as well. So even if it might feel like we're taking a step back, we're still, we're getting there. We're getting there. And have a look at this. This is kind of a sign of spring as we go back to Mother Nature and look for some of these signs. This one, as we look into Annapolis County, that's not Pomquet. This is, can't remember the name of the lake. Sorry, Anne, for not changing it from Pomquet yesterday.
Is it's Pussy Willows.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's what we need to know.
Yeah, and you can
they're
see
back.
they're back. They're definitely springing, just like everything else. So thanks to Anne for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca, and love the picks, including this one from Annapolis County. Now, as we look at the outlook here, chance of a shower or flurry overnight into early Wednesday morning. We'll see a mix of sun and cloud, more so than what this model's showing. We will see definitely some sunshine after the fog retreats, and then we're looking at the building clouds throughout the afternoon, and that wet weather starting to move in for Wednesday evening, afternoon for western areas, evening for central and into the east. Temperatures fairly mild on Wednesday, feeling pretty spring-like again into the 6 to 10 degree range. Now, Thursday, we're going to wake up to some snow, likely accumulating snow for inland higher terrain areas, slushy accumulation possible for many areas. And this is what it looks like Thursday morning as that system is kind of pulling away. And we'll see that slushiness continue as we look at a chance for some showers and flakes into the Thursday afternoon time frame. Friday, watching this frontal boundary to move some showers and flurries in, and so we'll be keeping an eye on that quick wave as well. Saturday, late day system in the southwest could bring some snow, and then Sunday night into Monday, that's kind of a bigger system that we're watching as well.
Okay, Ryan, thanks for that. Well, in London, England, an Easter egg hunt of gargantuan proportions is underway.
The Big Egg Hunt is a citywide public art exhibition. We launched it in partnership with Clarence Court this morning.
It features more than 100 giant decorated egg sculptures scattered about the British capital.
The excellent spectacle is meant to raise awareness about Asian wildlife conservation, with the eggs serving as a symbol of nature and life, according to organizers. The public is invited to get cracking on, quote, collecting the eggs by finding them and ticking off on a free app where they can win prizes.
The sculptures will be auctioned off at the end of the exhibition, with all the proceeds donated to the wildlife conservation.
A lot of puns in there, too.
We did.
Excellent. That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.